Hello B.A. Part 3 students. A short while ago, I had uploaded a video on the analysis part 1 of my last Duchess, in which I had discussed the specific features of a dramatic monologue and the summary of my last Duchess by Robert Browning. As I had said that in the second part, I shall tell you about the themes and the characters, especially the character of the Duke of Ferrara, who is also the main character or the main protagonist of this dramatic monologue. Now first let us talk about the themes of this dramatic monologue. The theme that comes to our attention and which is the dominant theme of this poem is how women are treated or were treated in the Victorian society, and the Duke is representative of the Victorian mentality of men. So, in the poem we find that women are considered as objects and not human beings. Throughout the poem, the Duke reveals his belief that women are objects who can be controlled, possessed, and discarded and murdered also if not required. He wishes to own the Duchess only as a silent painting and not a living human being. The tone of the Duke is very clear that if his instructions are not followed, if his orders are not obeyed, then his palace has no place for such women and they are discarded. The poem shows the mentality of Victorian men regarding women. The Duke's lack of morality reveals that he liked to possess his women. In the course of his talk with the ambassador, he tells that when he could no longer tolerate the frequent smiling of his wife, the Duchess, he ordered that all smiles should be stopped. And he got her killed. So, the Duke has very low morals if he cannot tolerate some kind of behavior of a woman. He uses his power to get her murdered. So whether she is the Duchess, who is his previous wife, or his new bride-to-be, he considers them as his property, and if they try to be independent, they are silenced. As we have seen in the case of the Duchess, because she did not pay heed to the Duke's instructions about guarding their family title or being reserved with people of low status, he gets her smiles stopped, that is, he gets her murdered. The next theme that catches our attention is the theme of false pride of the social status. The Duke's character shows the shallowness and low morals of the rich classes of Victorian society. Constantly in the poem, we see the Duke talking about himself, his power, his family name, his objects of art, his wife, the Duchess, etc. And also how he got her murdered when he had no use for her. So, for the Victorian men, the family name or title and objects of art are more important than humans. The Duke constantly reminds his guest, the ambassador, about his title, family name. Very often in the poem we see that he keeps boasting that his family had a 900-year-old name, that is his was a very renowned or prestigious family, and he also boasts about the expensive artworks that he possessed, and he believed that having a name or having expensive things or having high income or high power were the criteria of social status, and he had false pride regarding that. He also believed that giving high dowry by the parents could only ensure the marriage of women in high society and the safety of her life. So, this is also a hint about the low morals of Victorian men, who believed that if the parents of a girl could give very good dowry, then only her life in high society and the safety of her life could be guaranteed. Otherwise, perhaps the men had no use for women of low income background, or and her life was in constant threat. The third theme that catches our attention is the control and manipulation, and the fourth theme is the psychology of men. So the poem shows how the Duke uses his social status, his power, his title, etc., to prove others to be inferior to him, to his wife, or to the ambassador who has brought the marriage proposal, or to the Duchess. He constantly tries to prove that they are people of low status, low rank than him, and therefore they were unimportant for him. He uses his richness and old family name to prove his superiority over others. He uses the same power to indirectly demand a higher dowry from his next bride to be. The poem is also an interesting psychological study of the mentality of men like the Duke, who consider it their privilege to fix and control the women. Well, this is a very interesting perspective of the poem, because if we deeply study the psychology of the Duke, we find that his psychology, in a way, is the psychology of most Victorian men, who consider it their privilege to show their power against women, to try to fix them or to control them. Now, let us come to the characters of the dramatic monologues. Well, as I told you in the first part of this analysis, in a dramatic monologue there is only one speaker, and here the speaker is the Duke. Similarly, there is a silent listener. So in this case, the silent listener is the ambassador who has brought the marriage proposal of the daughter of the Count for the Duke. The other listeners are implied, that is, the other listeners are us. And another important character who does not occur in the dramatic monologue, who is not physically present, but her description draws a picture of her in our mind, and that is the Duchess. Through the narration of the Duke, first of all, let us derive the character of the Duchess. The Duke may have said many negative things about his wife, the last Duchess. He may have criticized her, but we can easily see that she was a woman who was very large-hearted, very gentle, and very kind. She was very modest about her high family name and the title, which was 900 years old. She was not at all proud of her expensive house or that she was a Duchess. But when we analyze the character of the Duke, though he does not say a word about himself, Yet the entire story makes us picture his own character also, and the important things that we discover about his character are that first of all he had an obsession for controlling others. We can see that because the poem opens when he draws the curtain which was hung before the portrait of the Duchess. So in a way he controls who comes to his house, do they get to see, and his control over others is also evident that when he could not stop his wife from being generous and humble towards others, he got her killed. So his obsession in his obsession we see that he is not at all sad or unhappy or repentant that his wife is dead. In fact, he preferred to see her only in a painting rather than a living human being because he felt that she was disobedient. The second point that we see about his character is that he uses women as objects whom he can control. Whether it is his previous wife, the Duchess, who is dead, or it's the question of his new bride to be, who is the Count's daughter, he makes it very clear that he will be in control. The only independence that he can give, that they can enjoy, is the independence that he as Duke or their husband will give them. So it reveals that the general Victorian mentality of controlling or discarding women according to their wishes, particularly the Duke. If they cannot control women, they prefer to have them dead. Then the third point also relates to the above two, and that is the abuse of power. He was the Duke of Ferrara. He could have done many things for the benefit of the people of his estate, but on the contrary, he uses his power to control people, particularly the women in his family, whom he can murder if he so wishes. He is greedy for dowry. As the poem comes to an end, we see him talking to the ambassador and indirectly hinting that the Count is very large-hearted and he need not tell the Count that a large dowry is expected, because the Count would himself give or send his daughter with a large dowry during the marriage. So in the course of the poem, we also see that the Duke is very fond of showing his showing off his wealth. So right from the first line till the last line, we see that he is pointing out towards expensive art forms displayed in his house, particularly the portrait of the last Duchess, which is in the beginning, and the statue of Neptune, who is taming a seahorse. So we see that though the Duke had a good taste for art, but he is always trying to show off his wealth, his family, his title, his pieces of art. Then another important character of the Duke is that he is jealous and perverted. He is so jealous that he could not bear others to compliment his beautiful wife, and if they tried to do so and the Duchess blushed at their compliments, he was such a mental pervert that he got her killed. And I have already mentioned that he was he had a good taste for art. So these were the important points about this dramatic monologue which I have highlighted. I hope you will be able to attempt questions on this dramatic monologue with ease, and till then, when we take up another discussion of one more of your poems. Thank you.